In this example, we're going to look to multiply these two matrices together. So before we can get right to the multiplication, we need to first inspect the dimensions of each of these matrices to ensure that they have the appropriate relationship. So this first matrix, it has 2 rows and 4 columns, so 2 by 4. And the second matrix here is a single column, but we do have 4 rows, so 4 by 1. Okay, so this is a column matrix. And so these inner dimensions need to be the same, and it looks like they're both 4, so that's good. So the number of columns here and the number of rows here must be the same. So they are, so that means this multiplication will in fact be defined. And the product matrix then will have 2 rows and 1 column. So our product matrix will be a 2 by 1. So let's go ahead and set up our matrix multiplication algorithm. So I'm going to start by rewriting this matrix down here below. And he'll be, let's see, out of the way. You probably can't see me writing this right now, but I'll slide up here momentarily. Okay, so I've rewritten this matrix, and I'm going to take this second matrix, the one on the right, and I'm just going to push him up a little bit, and I'm going to rewrite him here. And I'm going to leave a little bit of space horizontally to work. So these values are 2, -1, 6, and -11. And the reason I'm going to do this is because now I can set up my product matrix really nicely right here in this spot. And we know it's going to be a 2 by 1. We already established that. So that means it'll have 2 rows and 1 column, so it'll have an entry here and an entry here. And why I do it this way is because this is a great visual representation of the multiplication process. So the entry here in row 1, column 1 will be made by coming across this row and down this column. And it'll go right here. It lines up really nicely. And this entry will come across this row and down the column and be right there. So what it is we're doing for this multiplication process, and when I say across the row and down the column, we're going to take the first entry here and the first entry here and multiply them. Second entry, and multiply. Third entry, and multiply. And final entry and multiply. So that's what I mean by across the row and down the column, is we're just matching up all of these pairs. We're going to multiply all the pairs and then add each of those products together. So 6 times 2 is going to be 12. -1 times -1 is a positive 1. 4 times 6 is 24. And 3 times -11 will be -33. So whenever I go ahead and add and subtract all these, that'll be that entry. So let's come across this last row here in this column. So -2 times 2 is -4. 7 times -1 is -7. -5 and times 6 is -30. And -4 and -11 is positive 44. So now we're just about done. Let's go ahead and write our product matrix here. It's going to be a 2 by 1. So here is that first entry and here is the second entry. So 12 plus 1 is 13, and then maybe minus 33 is what, -20, and then plus 24. So that'll be just 4. That's nice. And then here we have, what, -11, -41 plus 44, that'll be 3. So our 2 by 1 product matrix will have entries 4 and 3, and that's what we get whenever we multiply these two initial matrices together. And here again is that product matrix.